Hello and welcome to another show. Today, if you're looking at the title, you probably know what I'm going to talk about. Or maybe you don't. But I'm going to present to you a thesis statement. That thesis statement is you must be willing to sacrifice. Sort of a hypothesis at the same time, because my belief is that you do. But I'm going to let you decide that for yourself once I roll the tape and give this little speech that I have written here. So before we do that, make sure you subscribe, of course. Make sure you like the video. Drop me a comment if you feel like it after watching it. And, of course, share it. Okay? Let's begin. I'm going to play this in the background. You can keep your eyes on it and listen to what I have to say. You tell me at the end if you think I'm incorrect or maybe I'm onto something. Who knows? Let's go. In this video, I'm laying out a thesis slash hypothesis of sorts to you, the viewer. That hypothesis is the title of the video, as I've already said. Are you willing to make a sacrifice? Or you must be willing to sacrifice. Either way. Oftentimes we hear this term used in the entertainment industry and music, where the person who's being interviewed claims to have made several sacrifices in order to get where they are. Those sacrifices being relationships, friendships, their youth, time with family, and even time spent with their children in order to achieve their goals. Now, that is commendable. You sacrifice time with the people closest to you in order to get to a place and space where you're making enough money where now you have the freedom to do what you want. Impressive, right? Long hours of practice, long hours at school, being turned away constantly until finally, jackpot. They hit the big time, right? People like Dave Chappelle, who's said to have several pilots out before he actually got picked up and made it big. Again, commendable. They get recognized for their talent. They get signed to a major label or movie studio. They have their breakout role to the public, right? So you have your first role in like a sitcom or a movie, or a record label picks you up. You have your first single, and it's a big hit because you're talented, right? It sounds like a script for a good Hollywood movie, does it not? But we know for a fact that is not always the case, do we not? Some actors start out very young when they first appear on the big screen. That's a fact. Drew Barrymore, who is currently older than me, just stating another fact, by the way, started out acting when she was 7 years old. Now what's 7 years old? That's third grade, second grade? No college degree, no long hours in theater class, no studying for long hours trying to remember the lines. 7 years old, and just like that, magic, she's in E.T. and then Firestarter a couple of years later. Both, by the way, blockbuster movies at that time. I think they have remakes of them, if I'm not mistaken, of Firestarter for sure. Um, but at 7 years old, no wonder she's been married 3 times at this point after a childhood riddled with drugs and alcohol use. You can look that up for yourself on the internet. Now, here's the question. Who would supply a child actress with drugs and alcohol? A child actress, 7 years old. What, do they have their own credit card to buy these things? Are they walking around with that much cash on them? How do they know the dope man in the first place? But they have access to drugs and alcohol? Okay. Steven Spielberg was the director of E.T., and Wes Craven was the director on Firestarter. I guess they were too busy counting the money to notice or to care about the child actress and the struggles that she was going through. Maybe. Maybe. I don't know. But somebody was providing them. That's for sure. What about Corey Feldman? Corey Haim, the two Corys, Macaulay Culkin, River Phoenix? Those names sound familiar to you? River Phoenix made it just past his 23rd birthday. He died on Halloween night, 1993, overdose. Haim was a little luckier, you could say. He made it to almost 40, died in 2010. In both these Corey's cases, there was talk of heavy drug use, heavy alcohol abuse, while in their youth in Hollywood during their early parts of their careers. Again, who is supplying these child actors with drugs and alcohol? Valid question. I'm pretty sure you've seen Macaulay Culkin and Corey Feldman, probably sometime in the last 10 years, appearing on television, looking fairly disheveled, rough around the edges, not like a person that made millions and millions of dollars in their past careers. Or as black folks would say, you come outside looking a hot mess. That's how they looked. They did not willingly sacrifice themselves to Hollywood. They did it unwittingly because, of course, they were children. So that was done by their parents. Now, me personally, I cannot see giving up my child to Hollywood at that age and not being there every step of the way. From the time the shoot starts until it ends, and then taking my child home. But that's me. Other people might feel differently. Maybe you'll say, oh, well, child might be nervous because the parents is there. Well, I can stay backstage, out of sight. I'm not going anywhere. I need a bird's eye view of where my child is at. How many of you remember Everybody Loves Raymond? Pretty good show. I thought that guy his humor was dry, but I thought he was always funny. The relationship between him, the brother, the tall guy, and the father, the crazy father, and the mother who was always bugging him, it was hilarious. You remember the twins? Do you know one of the twins shot himself back in 2015? Committed suicide, unfortunately. He was only 20 years old. What about Brad Renfro? Older movie, might know it, might not. The Client. He died from a heroin overdose, 25. He was 12 years old when he did that movie. Now you might ask yourself, well, okay, what exactly are you getting at? Well, if you've been paying attention to the screen while I'm talking, you will see a theme being carried out. That theme is men in dresses, right? Black men. There are a few white ones who have done it as well, but for the most part, it seems that the black men who have went anywhere in their career have had to make that sacrifice, which is their masculinity, stripped of it in order to move up in the hierarchy. That's my take. Not saying it's accurate, but seems like there's cannon fodder here to go on for a long time. What I'm saying is that fame and fortune requires a sacrifice, not the kind that they talk about when they do the Hollywood interviews and they say, oh, well, I had to sacrifice all this time, all these hours of practice, reading lines, memorizing stuff, trying to become a method actor, or I had to memorize my lyrics. No, I'm talking about a completely different type of sacrifice. Brittany Murphy, DMX, Heath Ledger, Mac Miller, Prince, Philip Seymour Hoffman. I mean, he only made it to what, 46? Michael Jackson. All drug related deaths. And that's just scratching the surface. All right, so where are you going with this? Well, we know for a fact that anyone who makes it to the top of their professional career will have to make sacrifices, right? Practice makes better, doesn't make perfect, but it requires a lot of practice to become a Michael Jordan, to become a Kobe, to become a Shaquille O'Neal, to become a Dave Chappelle, right? Deion Sanders. All these guys who made it to the top of their respective fields. Tom Brady's. They put in a lot of work. But apparently, there's also a deeper and darker secret where somehow, if you're black especially, you have to appear in a dress. And if you're white and you come into the industry early, somehow you end up on drugs and alcohol. That just seems to be the recurring theme. And I'm putting it out there to you, the viewer. All you have to do is a little bit of research, and you can source this material out for yourself. It's not hard to come by. It's all on the internet. It's on YouTube. It's on IMDb. Let's say you know the actor's name, you know that they died. Look up the cause of death. Right? Always, they died somewhere by themselves, overdosed on drugs. People who have, a long film career like Philip Seymour Hoffman. You would think at that age, you wouldn't mix a batch of drugs that would kill you. Same thing for DMX. Right? But as I said, sacrifices have to be made. Now, what kind exactly? It seems it's pretty much the same for certain sets of people, and for other sets of people, it's kind of different. Right? If you remember Fresh Prince, what did Fresh Prince do? His breakout role for the big screen. 6 Degrees of Separation. You remember that? How many of y'all remember that? Listen, when I saw that movie, I think I was traumatized. I really was. I saw it, and I was like, damn, that's how y'all do in Hollywood? I'd have to pass that role up. Right? Even Denzel Washington said that there was a role that he was offered, the nigga they couldn't kill. And it was this bunch of Jewish people in the room, say they're gonna hang him, trying to do all these things where he's not dying. And then, it's funny. And he's like, it's funny? Oh, funny like you guys go into a room and stuff starts falling and you think it's water, but it's actually gas and you all die. And you're like, huh? You're like, yeah, no, that's not funny. So this is not funny to me. And he said he made the call to Sidney Poitier. It's like, yo, Sidney, they offered me this role. They're going to pay me $600,000. What do you think? Sidney Poitier told him, listen, I can't tell you what to do, but I will tell you, if you take a role, it pretty much maps out what your career is going to be like. So Sidney didn't tell him what to do, but based on that, he said, you know what, I didn't take it. And then after that, I think he said he took Cry Freedom. But to me, it's just very strange, very, very strange, that all these people, look at that. See what that is? All these masculine men, right? Not saying these brothers are good looking, but appearing in the dress looking crazy like that. I don't know about all that. And it's been going on for a long time. Look at The Rock. Is that really how you want to appear and make your way? Wearing something that your girlfriend or your wife would be wearing? Sacrifice your manhood for a check? Because don't forget, the internet is undefeated. Once you do it, it's going to be up there forever. Kids are going to see it, families going to see it, everybody's going to know eventually. Especially if it's a very public role that you have to play, like in a movie. People will know. So, I guess the choice is up to you. It's your decision. Are you willing to make a sacrifice? The other kind.